Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Edouard Perard. I'm the head of water at European Investment Bank. So for those who don't know European Investment Bank, it is a bank of the EU. We are lending about close to 90 billion euro per year to support the EU economy and beyond, also outside the EU. And water is one of our key priorities. So we are very happy to come to the Global Water Summit this year and to sponsor a session because water is really the priority, and we decided to step up further with the launch of a water program, and we are increasing our ambition for the water sector. I will say in Europe, clearly the largest project or one of the largest projects is Emscher. Emscher, it's a renaturation flood control project in Germany. We provided already 1.8 billion euro over the past decade for the project. So that's for inside EU, but we have many utilities where we are making extremely large loan. We don't have a limit to the size of our loan. Some of the loan are 500 million or more. Outside EU, the largest projects we are working on is the Akaba Amman project. Currently, to provide the salt water from Akaba to Amman. We have a mandate to work internationally, to work in the EU and in developing countries. And when we work on environment and water, what matters to us is impact. Having said that, we have also a mandate to support EU business. So meaning we can support EU research and development, EU technologies. We will not favor them in projects where we are looking for impact of beneficiary for the environment, but we can support their research and development and their innovation. Our vision for water resilience is that water is at the center of everything. Water is important for the environment, water is important for health, but water is important also for economic development and for any industry, for agriculture. So what we need to do is that water need to encompass the full economy, the full spectrum of the value chain. And it's what we are going to try to do at EIB to push and further to look into other sectors. So what needs to change, I think, is the fact that we should not think anymore about water being the business of utilities and municipalities. Water needs to be integrated in all the vision, meaning in industrial vision as well. And that's why the Global Water Summit is such important, bringing all the players from the water sector. First, I'm happy that you use the word threat and not risk, because I thought about it, and the thing is that often we're using risk, but risk, it sounds like it might not happen, but here it is happening. So it is a threat. So the impact of the threat, this threat will be very impactful. That's how I see that, because we see more and more globally, but also in the EU, we see more and more extreme weather events. So I will describe it as impactful. But the thing is that what the positive side of the coin is that it's predictable, more or less. And the positive thing is that we know what to do to adapt. We can invest in flood control, in dikes, in reuse, in desals. There are many options. It is predictable, and we know what to do. What we need is financing. What is very interesting with what we do with InvestEU is that we can finance projects that are less bankable. So for the moment, we're using that mostly for utilities in the water sector, and many utilities inside the EU are small utilities and are less bankable. So we can provide finance in a way that we will not provide otherwise, meaning we can lend more or we can lend longer term. So the clear landmark, the clear achievement is universal access to water and sanitation. We tend to forget about it, but it was not always the case in all the 27 EU countries. And we have also pollution control. That is a clear success. where we still need to work on in some part of pollution control, because half of the surface water is not in good ecological status, and particularly with PFAS. What we need to still work on is that, because it's a long-term work, it's about climate proofing our aging infrastructure. Yes, we can confirm that most utilities and municipalities in Europe are taking into account climate change and are planning for climate change. It takes time. The part that I see less is actually industries looking into the water insecurity threat. And they have not all taken that into account, because in some areas water is cheap, but they haven't realized that water might not become available. So that's really the key for action. It's more, I think, on the private sector actors, on the economy. The funding gap is huge. The funding gap is in different areas. There's a funding gap at the level of utilities. There's a funding gap in access to water outside EU. But there is also a funding gap, in a way, for water resilience, for the economy and for the industry. Because private investors are not necessarily investing because water is sometimes cheap, and and industrials are not realizing that there is this water insecurity threat. The way EIB is working is that we have a double effect. We have a catalytic effect because we are always complementing. Well, we can lend only 50% of the project cost, so we always work with partners. And at the same time, we are a seal of approval of a project, because our teams, when we are financing projects, we are going there, we are checking everything. And with our AAA rating, we provide comfort to other financiers to finance the project. Private finance is key, because public finance is not enough, given the great investment needs that are shown in global water intelligence. EIB alone, we lended, we are one of the major lenders in the water sector, the largest lender in terms of a multilateral development bank for the water sector. Over the past 10 years, we lended more than 40 billion euro to the water sector, which unlock 100 billion of investment. But we are still far from this achievement of the funding gap. So that's why we need to develop new models, and with private finance. I'm thinking particularly we need to try to facilitate, to make the sector more attractive to the private sector, and to have more equity providers, because we cannot only provide debt, and that EIB can support them. We need people to put equity and to develop projects, and EIB can support with equity and debt these projects. You have water technologies, and it is key. I'm happy that the Global Water Summit is in Paris, because Europe is a leader in terms of water technology, and we need more venture capital funds to invest in innovation. And at EIB, we can support this. But also in terms of private equity, I'm thinking of infrastructure investment funds. There are very few infrastructure investment funds investing in this sector. And there are opportunities, particularly for assets such as wastewater reuse or desalination plants. From the client, yes, but surprisingly, and it's what I look forward to discussing at the Global Water Summit, surprisingly, there are still not many investment funds and even multi-sector investment funds looking into water. They tend to focus more on other infrastructures, but it is increasing, and it is step by step. It is coming. Because without water, you don't have economic development. So the investment needs are huge, and which means that market opportunities are there and they are coming. And I see the sector, really, the market opportunities developing and increasing. So it will be very interesting for any investor to move to the water sector and to be an early mover. It is in the question. Without water, you don't have economic development, but meaning that you don't have agriculture, you don't have industries. But what talks to them sometimes is that you don't have also microchips, you don't have data center, you don't have AI without water. So that's one part of aspect. And if we look at a broader scale and the impact of water, without water, you don't have peace and you don't have geopolitical stability.